Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, all of that good stuff. So some positive news of course in regards to Vasyl Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. Obviously right now, that is the most high profile fight in the lightweight division, and it looks like that fight is happening. A deal has been agreed. We're now really just waiting on that fight to be signed off. Now, the interesting thing about these negotiations are the fact that it's come out in the media that Vasyl Lomachenko indeed took a pay cut in order to make this fight happen. Let that sink in. You know, I've heard a lot of people online, on social media, etc. disparage Lomachenko over the last few months, few years, when in reality, he's one of the only guys who's putting himself out there, taking risks, and actually showing us that he wants to fight the best. For whatever reason, some people out there don't want to give this guy respect, credit for what he's done, or anything like that at all. When in reality, we have this debate on who's pound for pound number one. Well, Lomachenko's one of the only guys who, in my opinion, is kind of living up to that criteria. Obviously, he's a multi-weight world champion with a good resume, great skill set. That obviously helps, but the mentality that he's showing and has showed in his career really eclipses most other fighters in the sport. You know, he's taking a pay cut in order to facilitate this fight happening. That's a guy who's confident in his abilities and wants to fight the best and build a resume. You know, as much as I like Terence Crawford, I hear this guy being mentioned as pound for pound number one, yet he's on record in saying that he's not willing to do what Lomachenko is doing. He's not willing to take a pay cut to fight after this pandemic. He said he'll wait this whole year without fighting in order not to take a pay cut. You know, and this is one of the guys people are proclaiming as pound for pound number one. That sort of attitude doesn't really cut it for me, you know. We've got all of these heavyweights sticking around, talking in the media, you know, putting up a front. But what are they doing right now? Canelo Alvarez looks like he's lost his September 12th date. Again, maybe if he was willing to take a pay cut, maybe he would have got one of those bigger fights. All of these guys who are up and around that level, none of these guys are showing this type of hunger. Just that simple. Yet people out there will still nitpick Lomachenko's resume. They'll still doubt him, you know, and they'll throw shade on his name. They won't put any respect on his name whatsoever, when in reality the guy's fought very good competition pretty much throughout his career. You know, he's had the odd gimme fight here and there, mainly at the start of his career, his first few defences, after the Gary Russell fight. But apart from that, this guy's fought a very good level of competition. He's given us fights that people have asked for. You know, people asked for the Nicholas Walters fight. In hindsight, you know, a lot of people, you know, override that and they kind of don't recognise that. But a lot of people were asking for Nicholas Walters. A lot of people were asking for Guillermo Rigondeaux. A lot of people were asking for Gary Russell. People were asking for Jorge Linares. You know, this is a guy who's been willing to give us fights that we've been asking for. He was willing to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. He was willing to fight Mikey Garcia. It was those guys who poured cold water on those potential fights, not Lomachenko. Lomachenko has always chased the best options. He's always chased champions. That's what he's done throughout his career. And right now he's gone a step further. Fuck the money. I want that belt. I want to fight the guy who people say is the second best in the division. People say this guy could beat me. Maybe he could knock me out. I want to fight that dude. Not only will I fight that dude, I'll pay this guy a little more money in order to get that fight. That's a champion. That's a G. That's a warrior. As a fighter, he's making a sacrifice in order to give me a fight that I want. And as a fan, I appreciate that. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not necessarily knocking someone like Crawford or Canelo for not taking a pay cut. But, you know, at the same time, when you've got guys like Lomachenko doing that, I've got to praise Lomachenko and maybe ask the question, why aren't Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez doing the same? Again, I'm not necessarily blaming them for not taking a pay cut. Nobody likes taking a pay cut, right? But at the same time, like I said, Lomachenko's willing to do that, so he deserves special credit as far as I'm concerned. In my opinion, Lomachenko is one of the rare fighters in boxing today who's basically doing it right. Yeah, there's been a few bits here and there, like the franchise title, which I didn't like. But, you know, he's willing to fight anybody, as far as I'm concerned. He's shown that in his career. You know, there's not many fighters like that in the sport of boxing right now. Alexander Usyk would be another one. I would class Michael Hunter as well in that mix. You know, guys who are willing to fight anybody. Guys who are giving me fights that I want to see. Guys who are willing to take risks. Now, you may say someone like Michael Hunter, he's in the position where he needs to take risks. Yeah, cool. But a lot of people are in that position in boxing and they still don't do it. So Michael Hunter gets credit as well, as far as I'm concerned. You know, that's why I support these sort of fighters. I support Usyk. I support Lomachenko. I support Michael Hunter. Because these guys are trying to get good fights. And really, that's all that matters, right? Giving us a good product as boxing fans. We are consumers, as well as just fans of the sport. We do deserve a good product. And certain fighters are more willing to try and give us that product, more so than other fighters. And I think it's obvious who's willing and who isn't right now. A lot of guys are dicking around. A lot of guys are talking nonsense. But Lomachenko's not one of them right now. He's not one of them, as far as I'm concerned. So, a lot of people out there, not a lot of people, I have to say that actually. It's a small minority of people, but a loud minority. These guys still won't give Lomachenko credit, and they'll continue to throw shade on his name. They won't put any respect on his name, when in reality, he's one of the few boxers that is acting like a fighter. Like he actually wants it. One of a few. You know, there are guys out there, like I said, Usyk, Loma, Hunter. I think Estrada is another one. You know, there's a fair few guys. There's a lot of guys in the lower weight classes, you know, like Tanaka, for example. Fighters like that. Ioka is another example. There's some other cruiserweights, Dorticos, Neris Briadis. All of these guys, man, are willing to fight top competition, so I salute these guys. But a lot of guys out here play politics, talk nonsense, and, you know, hide behind their fanboys who'll make any excuses for them in the world. Absolutely embarrassing. You know, these people call themselves boxing fans, but when somebody gives them fights that they ask for, you know, they'll then move the goalposts and they'll continue to discredit this dude. The same people, like I said, were calling for a Nicholas Walters fight. They were calling for a Gary Russell fight. They was calling for a Rigondeaux fight. When these fights happened and they didn't get the result they wanted, they moved the goalposts. So Lomachenko could move up and fight King Kong and beat the dude, and listen, they still wouldn't give this guy respect. So it is what it is. You know, I'm kind of preaching to the choir, I guess, but it is what it is, man. Salute to Lomachenko, acting like an absolute G, a soldier, whatever you want to call it. Big up to Vasyl Lomachenko. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.